There are over 100 baubles in RLCraft and Dregora, and some of them can literally make you invincible. Most players either don't know what they do, or they're using the wrong ones. So today I am breaking down every single bauble, even the secret ones, and by the end of this video you'll know exactly which ones are OP, which ones are trash, and which ones can completely change your playthrough. We're talking about permanent strength, full poison immunity, extra inventory space, and effects that stack into insane builds.
Finally, a product for me.
If you've played other mod packs, you might know these as curios, trinkets, or charms too. ¿Qué onda? It's Naninator. Let's get into it. Jumping into all 100 plus baubles, you need to understand one thing that makes them way stronger, that being qualities and secondary modifiers. There are 19 qualities you can get by reforging in RLCraft and 20 in Dregora, which added the worst one called Skill Issue. But the most notable and important ones are Undying, Punishing, Arcane, and lastly, and optionally, Lucky, plus 0.2 luck, but note luck is rounded down to the nearest whole number. There are 18 secondary modifiers randomly rolled with a Bauble Reforged station. Every roll takes a bit of experience, so use it wisely. Each only affects one stat from hearts, bonus armor toughness, and increases to attack damage, movement speed, and attack speed. So feel free to look at the list of them on the screen. I personally prefer hearts and armor, but sometimes go for attack and speed for damage builds in the endgame. I split the baubles into game phases based on how realistically they are to obtain and be able to use at that point in the game. So even though one may be OP but easy to get, I will put it in the early game. I also added a tier next to them labeled S, A, B, C, D, and F, based on my opinions on utility and benefit. Now, starting with the early game. The earplugs are the cheapest and first bauble you should make at the beginning of any playthrough. With just 2 oak buttons, you can make and equip them on the head slot. Their main purpose is to avoid the siren luring effect, which is annoying and can put you in a dangerous situation. Given its niche yet important use, it's common for use on even endgame players to carry one just in case. Reforgeable with oak buttons, but you can make more too if you don't have a reforged station yet. Just be careful you put them in the bauble head slot and not accidentally on your head to benefit from the bauble effect bonus. The Emerald Ring is a cheap and easy ring to make with 3 gold and 1 emerald. Its only purpose is to give you a bauble quality, as the ring itself has no effect. You can reforge it with emeralds. You will only ever use this in the early game. Even then, it may not be worth it, as it's better to make an empty potion ring we will cover later. F tier. In a similar boat, we have the Emerald Amulet. Despite being the necklace equivalent of the ring with no effects, amulet slots are much less contested. Worth to make one early game or a ring if you have the materials due to that reason alone. D tier. Also reforgeable with emeralds. You can find this in the ring baubles randomly in dungeon chests too. I placed all quivers in the same spot. They are to carry crossbow bolts or bow arrows and have 3 sizes, that being light, moderate, and heavy. In total there are 6, and all go in the body slot and are reforged with leather. Each size carries 4, 6, and 9 stacks of ammo and work the same way. They require agilities of 4 and 8 for the moderate and heavy versions too. You can open them in the hotbar like a mini shulker or equip them on your body. They have an auto-collect option, which will place collected ammo directly into it when picked up from the ground, which you can toggle off. Nice for any archer build. But if using one, and you equip a ranged weapon, it will remove your shield for you, so be wary. Many players just use the light version of the bauble effects though. D tier. The Toolbelt is a handy belt bauble, and in my opinion, the best in slot for early game. It requires level 4 agility to equip, easily reforged with leather, by default has space for 2 non-stackable items into it that show on your player model too. It's essentially a wearable mini shulker box. You can left click on your hand to use a chest. When equipped, to access it instead, press the default R keybind to show it. You can upgrade it 7 times by using it in an anvil with belt patches to get up to 9 slots. I sometimes use it up until endgame. B tier. The backpack is one of the most recognizable items in the mod pack. Easy to make with 1 gold ingot, 1 wool block, and 7 leather too. It is easy to reforge with leather. It's worth knowing that recoloring it with dyes will re-roll its secondary quality too. This gives about 36 slots like normal chests. Can be configured in the mod options to be opened when equipped too. To equip it with items inside of it on the body bauble slot, make sure that you don't have anything on it, crouch, and break it. Note it will give you the encumbered potion effect, which reduces movement speed by 5%, mining speed by 10%, and attack speed by 15%. A very small debuff in exchange for so much extra space is fantastic. And a fun fact, you can sometimes find some enemies carrying one too, and usually have some basic resources like wooden torches. B tier. The balloon is a simple yet useful bauble. It lets the user jump 3 blocks in height and add those extra blocks onto fall damage too. A player takes half a heart of damage every block after 4, but if you jump with this bauble, you take no damage from up to 6 blocks by jumping. But interestingly, will take normal height damage if you simply fall. You can take advantage of this by combining it with double jumping from another bauble we will talk about later, or the enchant of the same name. Dot jumping is quite powerful too, letting you cover wide gaps. Very useful for mobility. C tier. The Miner's Ring is a rare bauble you can get from Doom-like dungeon boss room chests and battle towers. This is almost the same as a potion ring of haste, but it is reforgeable with iron ingots. The major difference is that stacking 2 rings won't give haste 2 like potion rings, making it worse. However, for some reason, it got super buffed for regular RLCraft's future 2.10 update. In addition to the base stats, it's got plus 20% pierce damage, plus 10% force damage, plus 50% necrotic resistance, the ability to bypass up to 50% blunt resistance, bypass immunity to fire with a 50% chance, and poison immunity given to you with an 80% chance to trigger. For those reasons, it is an A tier in RLCraft 2.10 and D tier in Dregora. The Cobalt Shield goes in any bauble slot, which shows in your player's back. As a shield, instead you can equip it in the offhand and still get its effects, essentially saving you a bauble spot. Even enchanted. Cheap to reforge with iron ingots, but you can use spectral silt too. But why bother? It completely cancels knockback from any attack. Amazing, as it allows you full movement control in any situation. A component of an endgame bauble as well.
What does the T on the wall stand for?
Please excuse me for... We'll talk about that later.
Unfortunately, can't be crafted and is only obtainable as a possible loot from various structures like battle towers, Doom-like boss chests, and Lycanid dungeons. B tier. Sunglasses are made with 2 glass, a stick, and 4 spectral silt. Head slot exclusive. They make you immune to blindness. This effect is buffed in RLCraft, but not only does it limit your vision, it also makes you stumble when moving, even if flying. I rarely craft these given they are common bauble to find looting. Nice to go caving and avoid Gru's blinding ability. Since head slot baubles are rare early game and it is important for an endgame bauble, it lands on the B tier. The Bezoar has a 5% chance to drop from poison spiders, commonly found in battle towers and dungeons across the world. This gives you immunity to poison. Great early game since it is hard to get consistent healing source, but simple enough to hunt down. They can be reforged with spectral silt, but I usually don't bother. In fact, I often turn them into spectral silt to reforge other baubles. It is a nice quality of life and easy to get. You should keep at least one, as it is a component of the Ankh Charm and Shield. B tier. The Sentient Pendant goes in the amulet slot and requires 7 spectral silt, a string, and silver ingot to craft. A bit tough to make early game. I often just find it in dungeons. Its main purpose is to be used as a component for making the Gluttony and Pride pendants I will cover later, but can still be equipped for its bauble quality. It is not worth reforging given it needs spectral silt and has no effects or abilities, making it worse than the Emerald Amulet. F tier. The Pride Pendant is crafted from the Sin Pendant and Crown. It gives you the Sinful 1 effect as long as you have full HP. This gives 25% bonus damage, plus 3 armor, and plus 1 armor toughness per level. A fantastic buff, but any damage will remove it unfortunately. Combos nicely with lifesteal or a reliable healing method. Its conditional use is okay, there are better options, but this is one of the better amulet options at the early stages of the game. I have never found this bauble, but it is not too hard to craft. The crown component can sometimes be found in friendly outposts. C tier. The cross necklace is one of my favorite and most recommended baubles to use for an entire playthrough. The second best in slot in my opinion. This bauble doubles invincibility frames from 10 to 20 when hit. This makes a big difference when swarmed by enemies. Common in dungeons or when taking on parasite enemies. I am surprised at how undervalued this item is for some players. It can single-handedly save your life, especially from things like Darklings. It is reforged with Spectral Silt and amazingly can be made with 5 gold and 4 Spectral Silt. An uncommon loot item in dungeons and some structures as well. S tier. This ring can be made if you find a Defile Lands biome. It is crafted with 4 Imbrium ingots, a black heart from a shambler, and 1 Scarlite. It is half as effective as the regeneration ring, recovering 1 heart roughly every 60 seconds, and reforged with Umbrium ingots. This is pretty bad. For a very similar yet cheaper recipe and better source of healing, you could just make a heal pad instead. Standing on it will provide regeneration too, even. The only reason I would use this is if you have baubles without an effect or reforge. D tier. The Phytoprostasia Amulet is a cheap item to make with 3 string, a Scuttler Eye, which is one of those purple-eyed spiders from the Defiled biome, 2 Vile Spines, and 2 Umbrium ingots. Wearing it protects from the Defiled Lands Vile Spine and Nature Blastum Fruit, which can be nice if staying in the biome for a prolonged time, especially breeding bookworms. It's a bit niche, but better than the Emerald Amulet and reforged relatively cheaply with Umbrium ingots. C tier. The Blindfold is a non-reforgeable head slot item made with 2 strings and 1 leather. It gives you blindness 3 and its only purpose is to avoid the deadly Gorgon Gaze attack, which insta-kills even fully geared endgame players. Be careful if going Gorgon hunting and using a method of cleansing blindness, since even if equipped, what's really protecting you is the blindness itself and will use its stoning effect. Interestingly, I could only find that Ankh Charm and Shield is able to, not Cure and the Enchanted Eyes Ring do not prevent this effect. F tier. Interestingly, I could only find that the Ankh Charm and Shield is able to go through the effect, but not the Cure from Silver or the Enchanted Eyes Ring to prevent it. So, yeah, F tier. The Radiation Badge is a Dregora exclusive bauble meant to protect you from 250 rats while list equipped. You can find them in bunkers commonly and can be equipped in any slot. Once exposed to some radiation, they will display a little usage bar, and every 25 rads, a message will warn you of its wear. Once the max is reached, it just gets destroyed. So it's useful, but given it is consumable and non-reforgeable, this goes in the F tier. The Geiger Counter is another Dregora exclusive, the main use being telling you the radiation level in the environment via a GUI shown on the bottom left corner of the screen by default. It displays when you equip it or have it in your inventory. It has an audio cue. If it annoys you, it gets muted if it's inside of your inventory slots outside of the hotbar. If you use it on entities, it will give you how irradiated they are in chat. Left-clicking air or blocks will provide exact radiation levels in the current chunk too. Given it can't be reforged and is only really a tool, it lands on the F tier. The Potion Ring is a component of every single Potion Ring recipe. Do keep in mind this is the empty version. As its name implies, they are supposed to give you the potion effect permanently while you have it equipped. Even so, the empty component version requires 4 gold and 1 lapis lazuli block to make, and each are forged with gold ingots. It's a popular early game option over the Emerald Ring since gold is more expandable, especially on the early game versus emeralds that are very useful for trading. Since you will be turning them into a potion version later, it's worth making them to reuse. Do note that using them to turn into a potion ring will reroll its qualities though. D tier. The Potion Ring of Speed is very nice, but relatively expensive to make as its new recipe requires 4 sugar as usual, but with a required block of amethyst to make as well. These gems can be mined in jungle biomes, the biggest reason being Shivaxi's friend, Stinging, made this item always in the early game. Still, being able to run away from danger is always a win in my book, and useful for travel overall. B tier. The Potion Ring of Haste is undervalued in my opinion, as haste not only makes you mine 20% faster per level, but also gives you 10% faster attack speed. Essentially, you output more damage too. Versatility is very nice, and being able to break spawners faster is always a plus, especially early game, as every enemy spawn just means more danger. Easy to craft with 4 Prismarine crystals and a Prismarine block from Oceans. In Dregora, you can get them from large crystals that spawn in the large lava ravines too. Gotta go fast. C tier. The Potion Ring of Strength is great. One of the best of its class. Each level gives plus 3 damage, the equivalent of the Sharpness 5 enchant, and it stacks with other damage increasing effects to become even more effective. Made with 4 Blaze Powder and 1 Magma Stone, Blaze Rods can be easily gotten by cheesing Battle Towers, especially from the top chest. Magma Blocks can be made with 4 Magma Cream or Harvesting, but note a block when broken, that is a Magma Block, can turn into only 0 to 2 chunks each. Very easy to get in the Crystal Abyss biome in Dregora, those that look like lava rivers, you know? These also spawn in Smith villager houses over the lava blocks here. I like to use Silk Touch pickaxes, it just makes it easier. A tier. The Soul Gazer is not a bauble by default, but only when using the Lycanite Tweaks mod created by one of RLCraft's awesome developers, CDSTK. This goes in your body slot and is reforged with Ender Pearls. Makes it so you can left click to study creatures while list equipped, making it a nice quality of life. It also enables you to use Lycanite pet abilities when left-clicking them, which can provide some awesome and scary combos with effects based on their energy typing you can't usually use in any other way, such as the Fear effect. An amazing tool overall, and fun to look into if you haven't tried this great mod. A personal favorite and recommended as well. A tier. Now, let's jump into the baubles I consider obtainable, or usually aimed at in the mid-game. The Obsidian Skull is one of the few baubles you can craft and turn into Spectral Silt. So if you're rich, you have another method to produce silt. This goes in any bauble slot. Reforged with Spectral Silt and provides 50% fire damage resistance alongside burning immunity. Basically the fire effect that surrounds your player when hit by fire damage. Pretty lackluster. It's halfway to a fire resistance potion effect. Fortunately, you can combine it into a Cobalt Shield and an Anvil to save a bauble slot. B tier. The Obsidian Shield is a combination of the Cobalt Shield and Obsidian Skull in an Anvil for 10 levels. This also stacks their effects and adds a cool pattern. Like the Cobalt Shield, can be worn on your character in any slot or as a normal shield. A worthwhile investment and component to make the Ankh Shield later. B tier. The Forbidden Fruit is dropped by husks from arid biomes and Dregora exclusive Furrow Gulls and Wastelands at a 5% chance. Note, looting does not affect the drop rate either, sometimes found rarely in dungeons and structures too. This bauble goes in any slot and makes you immune to nausea and hunger. Good to counter some of the effects of inebriation. Nausea is also modified to affect player movement, even flying, just like blindness, so preventing this effect can be a lifesaver. Always keep one, as this is also a component of the Ankh Charm. C tier. Vitamins go in any bauble slot and are a guaranteed drop from Elder Guardians, or a rare find in structures like Four Towers. Given their nature, they're a very good resource to grind into Spectral Silt to reforge many baubles. This makes you immune to mining fatigue and weakness. Players often use it to counter the negative effects of handling two-handed weapons with an offhand item. It will prevent those debuffs, but the damage penalties are still there. It may be worth using it though. You should keep one until endgame, as this is a component of the Ankh Charm. C tier. The Ring of Overclocking drops from strays with a 5% chance. It is unaffected by looting as well. It's also a rare find in Dregora's Parasited Building, as well as in common drops in Brutal Tower crates. This is usually one of the harder baubles to acquire, given strays only spawn in cold biomes and not many structures have spawners for them. This prevents slowness, an uncommon debuff, and boosts your personal speed by 7%. You can reforge it with Spectral Silt. It's pretty lackluster by itself, but it's a necessary component to make the useful ring a free action and Ankh Charm later on. D tier. The Lucky Horseshoe makes you immune to fall damage, but requires 32 agility to equip. Not worth the investment into the skill just for that alone. Full damage is one of the smallest worries you can have in this mod pack anyways. If a concern, feather falling and protection enchants are preferable too. It's non-craftable and an uncommon find in dungeons. I recommend just turning this thing into Spectral Silk, which is what also reforges this item. Anyways, if you have the ability to fly, you just get this effect anyways too. D tier. The Gluttony Pendant is made with the Sin Pendant, 2 God Apples, a cake, and a battle burrito. Reforged with Spectral Silk, allows the user to eat any foods almost instantly. When you do, it provides the sinful buff for 10 seconds. The level of the effect depends on the saturation provided by the food item. Most Lycanite and fulfilling foods provide the high level 3 sinful, making you incredibly strong and an amazing amulet for that reason. Interestingly, this is the max every food except for the whale burger, which jumps up to sinful 6, and the only way to get it this high. This makes you 150% stronger, incredibly busted, and very bulky. Whales are tricky to catch and requires fishing though. I recommend using Lycanite foods with this item, a great choice overall because you can overeat even at full saturation with them. But it requires a constant supply of food and eating to take full advantage of it. Nice to use with a Hungry Farmer perk which makes you auto-eat when hungry too. Use this to your advantage. A tier. The Broken Heart is one of the best and must-have baubles. Never take it off once acquired. Requiring level 16 magic to equip, this bauble single-handedly saves your life and is considered the best in the entire mod pack. When you take lethal damage, it instead breaks heart containers, making you incredibly bulky. It also triggers after other life-saving effects like Undershirt. You can get your heart containers back by sleeping. Pretty simple if you ask me. You reforge it with Spectral Silk and can only be attained as a treasure from dungeons like Doom-likes, Battle Towers, Roguelikes, and Lycanites. S tier. The Halo Necklace is a Dregora exclusive obtainable from rare Dregora chests usually found in Parasite buildings in the overworld or underneath as well as a potential drop from the Skeleton King. This goes in the Amulet slot and provides a bonus 15% damage versus the Undead. Pretty good overall I would say, especially going to the Nether which has many of these types of mods and for damage builds. Do mind that the Parasites are not considered undead, so it doesn't work against them. Reforged with Spectral Silk. C tier. The Potion Ring of Resistance is amazing. Even though this potion is debuffed from 20% to 15% damage reduction per level from vanilla, nothing really compares potion-wise to the benefits it offers. Living is your #1 priority, and this one just takes the cake. You can make it with 4 diamonds and a Heart of Diamond which drops from Stolings and a 20% drop chance, and is affected by looting. These guys spawn in any biome under Y level 20 and under light level 5. You can also get it at a 0.7% drop rate from fishing. This is widely considered a staple and must-have, especially from hardcore players, including my own personal recommendation. With the right setup or patient fishing, it is plausible and possible to even get this in the early game. But I put it here because it's much more realistic to get it in the mid-game. S tier. The Potion Ring of Diamond Skin provides +4 armor toughness. Despite its name, this is actually worse than the Iron Skin Potion effect. A secret ring.
It's a secret.
Shut up.
All secret rings share the same loot pool and usually are found in top tower chests or mega battle towers. It's fine. Note that if you use full Master Golem armor, you get this effect at level 2 as well. C tier. The Potion Ring of Magic Focus provides a +75% magic-based damage bonus. This can be quite powerful, but requires a player to have deep knowledge on how magic damage works and applies. There are builds for this too using special enchants, armors, and weapon combos, but at that point you will likely just use gold armor or golden buckler armor, which give said potion effect as a bonus instead. Nice, but usage specific, lands it in the C tier. The Iron Skin Potion Ring provides +2 armor points. It is roughly equivalent to a minimum of 1.6% damage reduction. For a secret ring, it's not very good. It is better, interestingly enough, than the Diamond Skin effect. In any case, it's a nice defensive option that fits any build. B tier. The Potion Ring of Reach is another secret ring, no recipe as expected, but easy to reforge. This effect gives plus 0.5 block distance, which is nice. Combating and placing blocks from further away helps, but you get much more value from other rings honestly. Nice to build with, but a rare find. Usually in the top of mega battle towers and 4 tower chests. D tier. The Potion Ring of True Shot is a secret ring that gives plus 3 range damage. Unlike Strength though, it does not multiply with other abilities unfortunately. It is nice if going for a bow build. You can get this effect too by wearing full masterable leather though. I believe there's better buffs, and the small amount of bonus damage this gives does not really make a major difference in combat. D tier. The Potion Ring of Health Boost gives 4 more HP, or 2 heart containers. This also stacks with other effects like having a race with higher HP and strength and vitality. More hearts means being harder to take down. Survivability always ranks high, and this is just great quality of life. Not the best, but something nice to use if you don't have the Ring of Resistance. B tier. The Witch Hat was recently turned into a bauble. Can be used on the head slot for the same benefits, but has low armor and durability. It is dropped rarely by witches. It is amazing because having one equipped makes witches neutral to you, even if hit which have some of the worst potion effects in any mod pack I have ever seen. Not only that, but it also halves their damage and prevents curses from specters. You know, the ones you see in caves. Note that if a witch is aggro towards you, putting on the hat won't remove it. Reforged with leather. C tier. The Archeologist Hat, when equipped, has a 25% chance to give you bonus Rs for mining. This can be obtained exclusively by trading archaeologists found randomly in small caves underground. It is pure luck, honestly. Good for mining and works on top of the Fortune enchant. This is reforged with leather, a nice quality of life bauble. C tier. The Pirate Hat has no effects. Obtainable as a possible drop from pirate mobs in boats found in oceans. They are reforged with leather. The gimmick to them is that they are unbreakable, but if equipped as a bauble, it does not provide armor points. This likely got the bauble treatment because its brother and sister hats got the treatment as well. As armor, it's pretty good and can be enchanted too, however. As a bauble, it gets F tier. The Totem of Undying is surprisingly treated as a bauble here, but only benefit from the bauble quality by putting it on your offhand. Unlike regular Minecraft, it is pretty bad given the unforgiving nature of enemies in the mod pack. You will likely be killed before recovering from an encounter. It can even be hindering in specific circumstances. You can reforge this with Amulets. Given its low usefulness and inability to be used in any bauble slot, I decided to place it in the F tier. Honestly, just use a shield at this point. The Ring of Enchanted Eyes is known for being required to craft the later covered dragon eyes. It is easy to craft with a golden carrot, 4 silver, and a glowing ingot. Also, potentially a rare bauble to find. It has a low chance to spawn under the Waystone in Dregora's World Center as well. It gives you toggleable night vision and +1 luck, which essentially works like a looting enchant level. Players sometimes use it to loot Lost City's chests. Note you can't wear more than one to take advantage of one, unless you put it on your offhand if you want to do that. Reforgeable with glowing ingots. Too expensive for my taste. Great for mid-game caving, and a little known fact, makes you immune to blindness as long as it's toggled on as well. B tier. The Stone of the Sea is many RLCraft players' favorite. Crafted with 4 glowing ingots, 4 prismarine crystals, and a Neptunium ingot, which is hard to obtain. Also, a possible drop from Infernal Infernals. This amulet gives +3 swim speed, infinite oxygen, immunity to thirst, and the parasites you get from the drinking dirty water, making it easy to just bring a bucket and drink directly from it. This is a great bauble for ocean exploring overall and versatile. A tier. The Polarized Stone is a belt bauble that uses glowing ingots to be reforged. Feels more like an item, especially since it all works directly on your hotbar. You can craft it with 4 blocks of iron, 4 glowing ingots, and 1 redstone block. It has 2 active abilities alongside it, both of which drain your mana bar. The first one will pull items and XP orbs, I like to use it on normal playthroughs, so if I die I can go invisible, use a grave scroll, and then kill my items from my death location, hopefully. The second ability is Repel Arrows, which is pretty lackluster and often useless by the point you can force this, since skeletons don't do much damage. However, it is a great combo with the Ender Queen Crown, as when it is turned on, it will constantly drain your mana to avoid the annoying teleport ability of the crown. The Wither Ring, as its name implies, gives immunity to Wither, but also has a 20% chance to inflict Wither on your enemy. This is nice since it also heals 1 heart per hit on withered enemies. If you have the Envenomed enchant on your weapon, it guarantees withering and the ring healing on subsequent hits. A great combo to heal at this point in the game, obtained by crafting with 4 steel ingots, 4 glowing ingots, and either an Ice Dragon School or Wither School. It is reforged with glowing ingots too. A tier. The Poison Stone is a crafted bauble with a Bezoar, 4 Hydra Fangs, and 4 glowing ingots. This gives poison and hunger immunity, which are nice, but it shines in its ability to inflict 40% bonus damage on poisoned enemies. It also has a natural 20% chance to poison. Combo this with the Envenomed enchant that guarantees poison, and you got yourself one of the best damage builds on the game. Unfortunately, Escape and Run parasites are immune to poison, so don't use it against them if you plan on fighting them. A possible drop from ultra tiered Infernals. A tier. The Ender Queen's Crown is one of my favorite baubles, and the only one I had lots of doubts placing in a defined tier. This thing is overtuned, and I have no idea why. Some of the effects are not even mentioned on the description, so let me read the list. It gives a 5% chance to ignore damage completely, which are weak, but a nice bonus. You become immune to both the cold and hypothermia. It provides 0.5 reach distance, the equivalent of a reach from potion, makes Endermen 100% passive towards you, disables their static effect, and gives a 5% chance for them to spawn when you get hit to protect you. It gives immunity to instability, and when hit by a projectile, teleports you for 50% of your max mana in exchange for denying all of the damage, which I and many players see as a deterrent because it can put you in dangerous situations. So if you're flying, it'll just ground you. It can also be denied by constantly draining your magic with a Polarized Stone, for example. Some other negative includes weakness to water, which makes you lose 5 magic per second under the rain or swimming. It goes on the head slot, it's reforged with glowing ingots, and can be crafted with 3 Eyes of Ender, 2 End Rods, 3 glowing gems, and an End Crystal, which is very expensive. You can also get it from basic level Infernals, you know, the ones that are called Elite with the blue text, which is how most people get it since they're not too rare and will usually fight a lot. I usually get mine this way too. Oh, do note that Endermen won't have any drops because they are protecting you, so it would be kind of unfair. Given its wide range of bonuses but conditional control and uses, I put it in the S tier. The teddy bear is a powerful bauble I think is underappreciated. It gives immunity to both types of fear. The first one from Lycanites, which when hit has you lose control over your character 100% of the time, and you will just randomly walk about, potentially putting you in very dangerous situations, as well as Escape and Run Fear, which disables different left click abilities depending on the fear level, which makes it hard and annoying to deal with the parasites affecting your shield, potion drinking, food eating, and opening chests themselves, so you're gonna have a hard time even looting. Sleeping with it gives the player health boost 2 for 3 minutes, luck 1 for 30 seconds, and regeneration 1 for 15 seconds. It is made with 6 brown wool, easy to make with cocoa beans and gray wool. I like to make with a squid ink and bone meal combined. The last component is a glowing gem, which is a bit expensive but worth it. Reforge it with glowing ingots. It also has some cosmetic overrides when you give it a special rename. Rixie, Cowsay's Boom, Neon, Ken, Rio, Twilight, Artsy, Panda or Protastic, Bee or Stinger or Buzz, Rambo or Cool or Badass, Scary or Freddy or Snuggles. Now going into Mimic Baubles. I consider these mid-game since it is usually when players can rate structures reliably that can spawn them. Mimics themselves have a large amount of exclusive baubles they gatekeep and have no other way of getting them. Shivaxi call them Easter eggs, but some of them are so good they are even used in some endgame builds. Mimic spawn rates are ridiculously low in this mod pack, with a 1% spawn rate in RLCraft, but increased to 5% in Dregora only when under Y level 25. If you play with the RLuck mod installed, meant for RLCraft and some of its spin-offs, you can increase spawn chance with luck. Some last notes for this is that any chest can turn into a mimic, even locked chests and double chests, so open from both sides for better odds. Breaking them directly will also turn them into mimics, making it faster to check than opening if you prefer. Note only not pre-generated chests like Lycanite Dungeons, Dragon Nest, and Dregora chest loot checks this box. I do not recommend you hunt for these, but rather take advantage of those you get lucky enough to find in a playthrough. First, the Flame Pendant has a small chance to inflict 1 to 3 hearts of damage and set enemies on fire for 4 seconds that damage you. It is not really helpful, and it can even be dangerous for the same reason Burning Thorn's enchant is. It is very bad. Having no control over what is set on fire becomes an issue. Zombies and skeletons are able to set you on fire with their own attacks. Even Geonox, set on fire for a pair of seconds, turn into the dangerous Vulcan. May not seem a huge deal, but why risk it when you already have so much more to worry about? F tier. The Shock Pendant has a small chance to summon lightning on enemies that damage you and are exposed to the sky, making it useless in buildings or caves. If it triggers near you, the lightning can hurt and set you on fire as well. If lightning hits a parasite, it will evolve too, not only healing them, but making them stronger as well. This bauble is so bad, I would give it a lower tier than F if it existed. The Thorn Pendant has a small chance to do 3 damage points. However, unlike the other 2 pendants of before, they do scale with magic damage, so having the magic focus effect increases the damage. It is pretty unreliable and more of an opportune aid. I wouldn't use this over most other amulet baubles. Reforged with Spectral Silk. D tier. The Pendant of Ultimate Retribution is an amulet that is made by combining the Shock, Flame, and Thorn pendants. As you may have guessed, combining the effects of all 3 turn into one necklace. Each effect is independent from the others, meaning it is possible for a single instance of damage to trigger all 3 different effects at once. Given the disadvantages of other pendants and how hard it is to make, it gets the F tier. The Panic Necklace gives you speed 2 for 2.5 seconds when you get hit. The buff is so short and minuscule that it has little to no place in RLCraft. Its side is disappointing, as you could have gotten a better Mimic Bauble. I only see this as a collectible and mostly useless unless you get this in the very early game as a niche necklace to use until you get anything else, pretty much. Even an Emerald Amulet, as a Panic Necklace requires Spectral Silk to reforge. F tier. Unfortunately, the Whoopie Cushion is pretty bad. It goes in the belt slot and only serves one purpose: making occasional fart sounds. The Cloud in a Bottle gives you the ability to double jump, activated when you press jump while it's in the air. This overlaps with a double jump boot enchantment where both will activate at the same time and provide an even larger boost. If timed correctly, you can effectively cancel all fall damage by using the jump before touching the floor. It goes in the belt slot too, is reforged with Spectral Silk, and even shows on your character's 3D model. C tier. The Fart in a Jar is the exact same as a Cloud in the Bottle, with one added quirk. Activating double jump will have it play a fart sound. You make this by combining the Whoopie Cushion with the Cloud in the Jar. Reforged with Spectral Silk. Also goes in the belt slot and shown on the player model. C tier. The Magma Stone is a ring slot bauble which sets mobs on fire for 3 damage ticks when hit. This is no better than a fire aspect enchant by itself. It's nice, making it easy to instantly cook farm animals you defeat too. It uses Spectral Silk to be reforged. D tier. The Feral Claws go in the ring slot and provide a 20% attack speed boost. This is pretty nice, mostly noticeable in heavier weapons. It is okay by itself, but I prefer the Haste Ring at that point, which only gives only 10% attack speed, but it's much easier to reforge as well. D tier. The Power Glove is a great offensive ring bauble slot which gives an invisible plus 3 melee damage, or the equivalent of a Strength Ring. This is one of the best Mimic Baubles you can get, and a blessing if you get lucky early game with it too. Highly recommend you using it for considerable damage output. Its effects stack with other baubles and potions as well. The Mechanical Glove can only be crafted by combining the Power Glove and Feral Claws. This combines both baubles, giving you an invisible +3 strength and 20% attack speed. A very nice upgrade to go for and a personal favorite. This stacks with itself if 2 are equipped too. Getting the specific baubles from mimics can be a pain, however. A tier. The ultimate form of the glove trio is the Fire Gauntlet. You can only craft it with a mechanical glove, combining their effects for a complete combo of +3 strength, 20% attack speed, and fire damage for 3 ticks. I wouldn't call the added fire much of a bonus, but the glove does have a cool sprite. It also shows off on your player model. You can equip 2 for a stacked effect as well. The odds of getting all 3 components to make this is atrocious and requires a player gets very lucky or farms mimics. I heavily suggest against this as there are other bauble options which are much easier to get by comparison. Nonetheless, this serves the A tier. The drinking hat allows the wearer to drink instantly. Even though this seems silly, this is actually amazing for 1 drink alone. The Recall Potion.
Let's start the bidding at $1 million.
For those of you that may not know, this potion is a get out of jail free card that even endgame players use for 2 reasons. 1, it can't be interrupted by damage unlike warp scrolls, and 2, they are the fastest teleport option. With how unforgiving RLCraft is, even 1 or 2 extra seconds shaven from drinking can save your life, especially when fighting bosses. It is also nice if using potions frequently in dungeons or if using wine. However, do keep in mind in Dregora for brutal towers you can't use it, so instead just use the surface teleport potion specifically there. The Stark Cloak goes on the body slot and if not equipping armor in your chests, shows its magnificent colors. It makes enemies that hit you spawn stars from the sky to fallen attackers. Unfortunately, this is useless underground as it will crash with blocks above. Also, the stars themselves do not do much damage, and are easily dodged if the enemy constantly moves, which is almost every enemy, quite literally. Reforged with Spectral Silt, F tier. The Pocket Piston is a ring bauble slot that increases knockback from melee attacks by 2 blocks. By default, it is 2. Each ring adds another 2 and even stack with each other, and the knockback enchant too. It has very little use in my opinion, but a fun one to build around. Could be useful perhaps in the Lost Cities with a weapon that has a counterattack enchantment. This got me curious. I maxed the knockback possible in Dregora by using 2 Pocket Pistons and advanced knockback 10 from the legendary Trumpet. Look at them go! D tier. The Antidote Vessel is simple. It limits negative effects to a maximum of 30 seconds and can't go beyond level 2. It may not seem like much, but this single-handedly allows players to survive at endgame locations. The most popular use for this is the Lost Cities as well as the parasite-ridden locations, mainly due to the deadly viral debuff which increases damage you receive by 50 to 100% depending per if you play under Dregora or regular RLCraft. Per level. See my Sentient Armor and Weapons video for more information. Capping the total damage which naturally can reach level 10 keeps you grounded. Unfortunately, this drop shares its mimic loot pool. Funnily enough, not many players use it until the endgame as you can just use silver or the Ankh Shield instead, which removes many of the other debuffs you would otherwise have to worry about. This goes in the belt slot and is reforged with Spectral Silt too. S tier. Bubble Wrap prevents kinetic damage, which, if you were wondering, is the kind you get for going into a wall at fast speed. This is quite avoidable and may not even know you can get hurt this way unless you use a grappling hook often or the dodge ability recklessly. You can tell it's kinetic when you see a broken screen effect. This bubble goes on the belt slot and is reforged with Spectral Silt. D tier. The Sacrificial Amulet is a bauble that goes on your amulet slot, but it's not meant to be used as a bauble despite having Bauble Qualities. You can reforge it with Spectral Silt, but the point of it is that when it's equipped, you should defeat 100 mobs. You can even check the counter on it too. Once reached, it will drop a treasure chest in front of you. You have to keep your eyes peeled since you have to pick it up. The chest can be opened for exclusive treasures you can only get this way. You can farm them easily and exclusively in Dregora by trading with an Elder Blacksmith. See my Brutal Villagers video for more information. They sell it in exchange for a coin purse which is made with 2 leather and 63 ancient coins. Given this is just a used and expiring item, it is F tier. Check out the list. This is pretty much everything you can drop. There's a link for it too, if you want it. One of the few exclusive charm slot baubles we have is the Lucky Clever. It sports a hidden +2 luck effect, which basically works as an invisible looting too. This lets you get better odds at finding loot on pre-generated chests as well as more monster drops. Overall good. You can also buy this as a possible rare trade from their herbalist villagers, exclusively in Dregora. You will need 4 emeralds and 4 short grass. You can atone it by going to specific biomes that have very short grass and breaking it with shears. Some players use it for luck builds, especially for hunting for the coveted transformation rings from the Lost Cities house, the Dragon Ring being the rarest and most powerful. For its passive and beneficial use, it lands on the B tier. The Dregora exclusive secret bauble, the Molten Heart. It seems to have not been programmed to accept Bauble Qualities, or shows if you look it up, but it can be placed in any bauble slot. This is crafted with an Undying Heart gotten from Fish's Undead Rising Undead mobs, 4 blaze powder, 3 molten salamander meat found in the nether, and a bucket of lava. It just reduces fire damage by 25%. Even the Obsidian Skull is cheaper to make, and reduces 50% on top of also having a Bauble quality. This is just a meme at the moment. F tier. The Cursed Dreamcatcher is an interesting secret bauble as well. When you sleep with it equipped in any bauble slot, it will spawn an enemy. It can be any of the following: a Foglet, an Undead Swine, Ithaqua, Sludge Lord, Vespa, Scarecrow, Osvermosis, Pingle, Undertackler, Banshee, Avaton, Vindicator, Ghost, or a Mimic. This being an alternative way to farm mimics is fantastic, but given the danger it poses, I don't recommend players use this item if unprepared. In any case, this cannot be crafted and can only be gotten, unfortunately, rarely in underneath chests or as a possible drop from the Skeleton King. With that, let's delve into baubles you usually are likely to obtain if not aim for in the endgame. The Shulker Heart is a possible drop from the Shulker. Well, yeah, this bauble makes you immune to levitation inflicted by Shulkers and the Djinns. That's it. The Ring of Free Action is often overlooked by new players, commonly so too due to how hard it is to obtain. You can craft it in an anvil by combining a Ring of Overclocking with a Shulker Heart. A very weird combo in my opinion. In any case, besides combining their effects to give the user immunity to levitation and slowness, it comes with the added bonus of ignoring cobwebs. You may think this is niche, but cobwebs can be laid on top of a player by infernal weather mobs. By themselves, they are a hindrance, but in dangerous situations, often is a death sentence. You can also obtain it as a possible drop from infernal mobs with the infernal tier. Reforged with Spectral Shield for its individual capability to save you, and because it's a necessary component for the Ankh Charm / Shield, it lands on the A tier. A confusing item for new players is the Black Dragon Scale, because it requires 3 items to create: a Nether Star, a Cracked Dragon Scale, and an Ender Dragon Scale, which all look pretty similar to be honest. You can find the Cracked Scale rarely in dungeons or turn a normal scale into one by surrounding it with Spectral Silt. Then put them all in a crafting grid and you get this bauble. Very simple, just gives immunity to wither. So how you get the scales themselves is by killing the Ender Dragon. They'll just drop on the end island, just look for them. You usually get between 1 and 3. Overall okay, helpful versus the wither itself that can inflict high levels of the debuff to players. You will rarely see anyone use it, as it will likely just upgrade it to the mixed version. C tier. The Mixed Color Dragon Scale, you can make this by combining a Bezor and the Black Dragon Scale we just covered in an anvil with 10 experience levels. Pretty straightforward, gives immunity to poison and wither. Not worrisome debuffs after mid-game, but nice to avoid lots of chip damage from various mobs that inflict these. Okay to fill an empty bauble slot with, a component of the Ankh Charm. B tier. One of the most important and useful baubles endgame players have and use is the Ankh Charm, made by combining a myriad of baubles together mentioned before. These being the Mixed Dragon Scale, Ring of Free Action, Forbidden Fruit, Sunglasses, Vitamins, and 4 gold. It combines the effects of all the baubles it is made of together, protecting the player from most vanilla debuffs like poison, mining fatigue, weakness, levitation, slowness, wither, blindness, cobweb movement, ignoring, hunger, and nausea. Some notable dangers it does not protect from, however, are knockback, inebriation, paralysis, instability, and fear, but those can be covered by other baubles. If you wear silver armor and get the cure effect, it overlaps various immunities, so some players don't use it necessarily if using that armor set. An amazing bauble, S tier. If you thought the Ankh Charm was the ultimate version of this bauble, there is one more step, the Ankh Shield. You can combine the Ankh Charm with an Obsidian Shield and an Anvil for 10 experiences. The notable addition being that it negates knockback and as a shield can be enchanted and be used on the offhand for all the effects it has to offer, saving you a bauble slot if taking this approach. If you use it in any bauble slot, it will show up in the back of your player model instead. Can be reforged with Obsidian or Spectral Seal too. So cheap. S tier. To the surprise of many players, the Elytra has been turned into a bauble that goes in the body slot. Often coveted by the Shield of Honor, this is a very nice to use nonetheless as a travel item just like in vanilla and is the fastest method of travel by air. Although hard to control, it also requires 32 agility to wear. You can get it from boats in the end dimension, or rarely from Ocean Doom-like boss room chests. In case of emergency, can be used to deny fall damage, or if in the end, can buy enough time to respond to a dangerous event, such as your flight mount dying when exploring, for example. Just activate flight and teleport away. It is also reforged by leather, but do mind it has durability like in vanilla. Given its niche use and potential as an escape item, it lands the A tier. One of the best and ultimate showcase tokens of having beaten RLCraft is the Wrath Pendant. This amazing amulet slot bauble gives you a flat +2 damage, and when you hit any mob, will give you the Wrath 4 buff, which essentially gives you 100% more damage, +4 armor toughness, and +12 armor, which is insane for a single buff. This legendary grade bauble can be gotten one of two ways. One, by finding the rare Shivaxi structure and getting lucky on one of his chests. Or two, by defeating the last boss in the mod pack and what most players consider having completed it, Amalgalich. Either way, it is amazing. Even overkill, but it certainly looks amazing and is a testament of all players that have persevered to finish the game. Reforged with Spectral Silt, S tier. The Stone of Inertia Null is a bauble only obtainable as a possible drop from Infernal tier Infernal mobs. Players often get disappointed at its sight as they prefer its greater inertia counterpart. In any case, this bauble gives +100 damage resistance to fall and kinetic damage as well as +1 knockback resistance. These damage types are not really worrisome, and all of these effects can be gotten from other baubles if you really want them anyways. I consider it a cool collector's item, but not much else. Reforged with glowing ingots, it goes in any bauble slot. C tier. The lovable big brother of the Stone of Inertia Null brings the Stone of Greater Inertia. This bauble gives the players 100% more speed and jump, plus 0.5 knockback resistance, and plus 75% fall damage resistance. This is a very fun bauble to use and great for exploration. Also exclusively gotten as a possible Infernal tier Infernal mob drop only. It is very unlikely you will get it. I like to use it if I get lucky with it in the overworld, but not much else. Some players like to use it in their endgame build, but it is not really necessary. I feel it is overvalued for what it brings to the table when survival is likely more important and should be your main goal. Reforged with glowing ingots. Nonetheless, this bauble lands on the B tier. A staple and permanent stay on a character once obtained, in my opinion, for most of the game is the Shield of Honor. This incredible bauble gives the player resistance 1, 75% explosion damage resistance, the ability to ignore damage every 6th hit, disables the annoying explosion blur and sounds, and provides a 10% chance to avoid headshots. This provides so much protection by itself, you're required to use it, and every player should go for it. It goes on body slop and can only be crafted, requiring 4 Ender Biotite, which only appears as an ore in the main end island after defeating the Ender Dragon. 4 glowing gems, which use a lot of silver, blaze powder, and glowstone dust, and a dragon egg of any type. You can reforge this with glowing ingots. This is widely considered the second best bauble in the mod pack. S tier. The Arcing Orb is a lesser known yet useful bauble that goes in the belt slot. It provides a passive 25% movement speed bonus and gives the player the ability to stun enemies on dodge in exchange for mana. You can also use a bolt attack by holding X to charge, but this uses more mana. But you can change the button. Very expensive to make, requiring 4 glowing gems, 4 mana crystals, and a moon rose. It's good for running away since enemies hit are unlikely to catch you afterwards. It also grants bonus damage and immunity to Lycanite paralysis. You reforge this with glowing ingots. A tier. The Faelis Claw are a ring bauble that gives a passive plus 25% damage boost as well as the ability to inflict bleed as 1 damage 50 times over time. If transformed into a Faelis, the timer is 3 times faster for bleeding. A great bauble for damage builds such as wine can only be crafted. It requires 2 iron ingots, 3 glowing ingots, 2 leather, and a glowing gem to make. A tier. Up next are the Dragon Eyes, which all go exclusively in the head slot, are reforged with glowing ingots and use the same recipe. That is a ring of enchanted eyes, 3 glowing gems, 4 diamond swords, and the tier 5 dragon skull of the dragon type. Note, tier 5 dragons only spawn in dragon nests underground. Dry skeletons and dragons above ground never spawn above tier 3. So good luck caving. By default, they all give the same following buffs. 1. Toggleable night vision, and the ability to search for specific ores.
One thing, we're not the same.
The Fire Dragon Eye is the first, and is arguably one of the most useful, as besides base bonuses, it additionally gives fire resistance, and immunity to hyperthermia and heat sources. This is a great item for the Nether, as it gets rid of the most annoying issues of the dimension being fire damage and overheating. Additionally, it has an active skill that lets you use search for ores. As a bonus and exclusive to Fire Dragons, this has 2 variants. The Red Eye, which just crafted, and the Black Eye, which used to be the old sprite for this same bauble, but was kept for some reason. It looks more and is modeled probably after the Ender Dragon Eye. You can get the old sprite version only in the Shivaxi Monuments chests, if lucky enough to find one, that is. S tier. The Ice Dragon's Eye gives, in addition to base buffs, also the Ice Walker effect, which freezes water blocks in the same ground level you walk on, allowing players to walk over oceans. It also gives ice resistance, protecting you from ice slowness effect, cold fire, standing and freezing ooze, and some ice dragon attacks. It also gives immunity to hypothermia and feeling cold. A very nice travel tool, although you can get immunity to hyperthermia and cold temperature from the Ender Crown too, which is easier to get. S tier. The Lightning Dragon's Eye is the least favorite of the trio, and jealous, so given it plays no role in managing temperature like the fire and ice counterparts. Its specialty is providing immunity to paralysis and electric attacks. These are very dangerous in helping combat versus mobs that inflict these, but there are few cases where this is a concern unless you're fighting lightning dragons, which you need to defeat anyways to create this bauble in the first place, or wargs, which by that point are likely not a concern. Even then, it is still a nice bauble. A tier. Now I will delve into the transformation rings. These are all gotten exclusively from the Lost Cities Dimension in chests and are quite rare. They are highly coveted by players and very fun too. Do note, you can also transform into set races with potions you can make with items in the overworld, as well as permanently transform into one, even keeping them if you die by making a consumable that requires the ring itself for the ring's own unique recipes. They each alter the player's size and or appearance. You can configure some of the appearance colors by the player inventory screen too. They are also reforged with glowing ingots. The Ring of the Fairies can be found in high-raised chests. These are for 4th and higher floors in buildings. It gives you a permanent passive +2 luck stat and creative flight in exchange for various stats, including decreasing your size to 25% the smallest rate, inflicting 25% base damage, losing 75% of your health, 50% of armor, losing 25% movement speed, jump height, and swim speed, as well as -40% reach and -0.35 step height. This makes it more of a travel ring and makes you very squishy. I only really see players use this build or loot items for the passive luck stat. You also get a sizable max mana pool of 500 points. I personally use it for the purpose as well. It may interest you to know that permanent furries get a visual set of fairy wings that look pretty cool, while as temporary transformation potions or rings give you the magical temporary wings. Giving its utility but overwhelming debuffs, it lands on the B tier. The Ring of the Dwarves can be found in basement chests. That is of any building, but not the subways. Unfortunately, it is hard to get their ring, as being underground invites parasites to jump in and make a whole lot of trouble. dad joke, right? Anyways, I personally love these guys and honestly feel they are undervalued. They have a special ability that allows it to mine any block at a constant rate, and pickaxe specific blocks are broken as fast as a diamond pickaxe for any pickaxe tier below that tier. They also are 75% of a normal player size, can get bonus experience mining, minus 25% attack speed and health, 25% more armor toughness, minus 10% move speed, and plus 10% attack damage. Being a bit bulkier and strong is fantastic in my books. I have made a complete playthrough with this race as well, and it feels pretty good. B tier. The Ring of Titans can be found in builder chests, which spawn in any part of the dimension just at an uncommon rate. This ring, true to its name, makes you 300% bigger. You're able to mine in 3x3x3 blocks, have minus 50% attack speed, plus 100% damage and health, plus 75% knockback resistance, plus 25% move speed, plus 75% jump height, plus 1.4 step height, but sink in water, trample flora, often spawning nature lycanites, and reduce max mana to 50. It can be quite annoying to go into dungeons and explore with such a big size. You will likely be hit more often too for the same reason. You can also wield two-handed weapons in each hand or with a shield for no penalty at all. However, this is good for combat overall, especially against bosses being able to stand face to face to them, for what reminds me of Godzilla and Power Ranger movies. A tier. The Ring of the Goblins can be found in subway chests that traverse the bottom of the cities, easy to see crossing ocean biomes, reduce max mana to 75, and reduces the player size to 50%, as well as having minus 25% attack and health in exchange for a 20% movement speed, 10% swim speed, and 20% jump height, plus 1 luck and minor explosion and fire resistance. You also gain the ability to mount wolves, and while it's doing so, receive Strength 1 and Regeneration 1. An interesting transformation which allows players to fit in one block pathways and gaps, which allows you to choose and form various strategies around. If starting a playthrough as one, this would actually be pretty useful, but as a transformation in the endgame, it's lackluster. C tier. The Ring of the Alps can be found in ground chests in the first 3 floors of buildings. You keep the same size but gain some recolorable elf ears in exchange. Increase max mana to 200, and they have minus 25% attack damage to get bonus speed in forests, as well as a special power shot ability with bows that scales off of your magic bar. You can activate it by charging a bow while crouching. Can be fun if you do a playthrough as this race, but for the endgame content isn't really worth it in my opinion. A bit niche, but can certainly make some powerful ranged builds. C tier. The Ring of the Faelis can be found in any chest commonly and is often the first ring players find. This is widely considered the second best ring too. It makes you 25% smaller, gives you 125 max mana pool. You get the ability to hit 4 base damage with your hand alone, get a buff to speed 1, strength 1, and jump boost 4 for 1 minute when drinking milk, plus 50% attack speed, plus 25% movement speed, plus 50% swimming speed, and plus 60% jump height. Most of these movement buffs are hindered by heavy armor, which fit the description for most metal-based ones unfortunately, but still an amazing raise that combos with a Faelis Claw's Bauble for some bonus bleeding damage. It has some cat ears shown on the player's model, and recently was updated for future versions to also include a tail for returning players. Very stylish if I do say so myself. This is A tier. The Ring of the Dragons can be found in rare chests, which spawn everywhere at a low rate. This is considered the best transformation ring given the stat changes it provides, including 120% of original size, making you slightly bigger and having to crouch underneath doors, includes all the bonuses of the Fire Dragon Eye, can fly as long as the player has enough mana, burning roughly 5 points per second, get a mana pool of 400 points, have plus 25% health and attack damage, plus 50% armor toughness, and minus 25% swim speed. It also has some awesome recolorable dragon wings and the ability to use Fire Breath for 5 magic points, a shot inflicting 10 damage and setting on fire for 4 ticks of damage, doing a total of 14. You can hide them too by customization menu, but note this removes the flight ability if you do so. However, in future update, it is foreseen to have this ring split into 4 versions. One for fire, ice, electric, and normal dragon types. They all keep their respective dragon eye bonuses per type, with a normal one, which is likely inspired on the Ender Dragon. Having access to all stat increases alongside magic limited flight, but Dragon's Eye's basic night vision and ore locator ability only. Additionally, Ice Dragons have Eye Spread that does 5 damage, inflicts slowness 2, and if it hits a block, leaves behind a snow layer per shot in an ice pattern costing 10 magic points. Electric Dragons breathe shots of bolt that have 10 damage on impact, and if it hits a block, leaves a lingering potion effect that inflicts weakness 2 and slowness 5 for 40 magic points. It also has some dragon horns added to the player model now. That stats may vary once it's officially included in a future version. If you'd like to try these out, feel free to download the spin-off version made by this sheet, which is Parasited, includes Dragon Steel, various quality of life features, and another upcoming ring. Check the description, and in case all of these rings fall into the S tier. The Ring of the Taurus can be found in rare chests like dragons. This new race has been added and is likely a direct competitor to the dragon race. Note, its stats may vary, but thus far it will share the body size with the dragon at 120% of the original size, plus 50 attack damage and max health, plus 50 reach distance, plus 75 knockback resistance, plus 30% armor and armor toughness, minus 10% attack speed, and minus 50% swim speed. It enables the user to use a charge attack by holding X in the exchange for 5 mana points minimum and max 20, hurting enemies for 3 damage at minimum charge and 31 at max charge. I love the cow ears and horns it has to alongside a physics affected cowbell. It's so cute. Definitely my new favorite race, and one I am excited to possibly see as if it was developed by the same X-Zero Air, the mod developer of all of these races, trinkets, and baubles under the XAT acronym. S tier. Let's go over the best definitive baubles. Keeping in mind these are my opinions. In first place, the most important bauble of them all is where we have the Broken Heart. This bauble alone can save your life multiple times, overlooked by new players, but a definitive need in any build ever. In second place, we have the Shield of Honor. The crazy amount of effects and defensive capabilities certainly earned this spot, as it can mitigate and reduce damage at the same time. The third place is taken by the Resistance Rings. Nothing else compares to the defensive capability of reducing all incoming damage by 15%, doubled if wearing 2 of these. In fourth, the Wrath Pendant and Cross Necklace. Although the Wrath Pendant is only obtainable in the post-game, or if you get lucky with the Shivaxi Monument, the Cross Necklace just doubling invincibility can get you out of so many sticky situations and will save or mitigate lots of damage when you are inevitably swarmed by enemies, common on Parasite combat. The fifth place, and only recently necessary if not sporting silver or sentient armor, is the Antidote Vessel, the best mimic bauble that is very rare to get and only necessary in Parasite combat, if not going for silver or sentient armor again. The sixth place belongs to the Ankh Shield, making you immune to all the normal debuffs and acting as a bonus bauble slot for being capable of providing all bonuses as a shield slot. Some honorable mentions, and specific to uses of not having an empty slot or 2 to fill out missing baubles or spots, are first, if using wine to use buffs infinitely, you can replace the resistance rates with Faelis Claws and the Fire Gauntlet, the Ender Queen Crown with no magic to avoid the annoying random teleportability from triggering. That is, you keep it at 0 by pairing it permanently with a Polarized Stone, but conflicts if using transformation with magic. Alternatively to the crown, an Ice or Fire Dragon Eye, a Drinking Hat is another good option for instant teleports, a Teddy Bear to avoid the fear debuffs, an Arcing Orb for extra mobility and paralysis immunity, the Lucky Clever for extra luck, very nice overall, and a Stone of Greater Inertia. If you use this with silver, you get to go super fast. Now, a very special and upcoming development baubles for Dregora only, shared by one of the main developers themselves, NL Black Eagle. Let's go over them. He updated items, including the Bezor, which is planned to limit the deadly viral debuff to a maximum of 8 and 30 seconds. The Poison Stone, that will limit viral to a max of 4 and 30 seconds. And some new items that you will be very interested in knowing about are the new Viral Ring that will limit viral to a max of 2 and 30 seconds, the exact same as an Antidote Vessel but should be easier to craft, a new Sentient Ring focus to be obtainable in the underneath and provides both fear immunity and adaptations just like armor. Maybe possible to 100% adapt to some damage types with it too. A new ring of cleansing to be obtainable from the Lost Cities. This makes you immune to fear and ignore parasite adaptation, making combat more forgiving. A new ring of guarding to be obtainable from the Lost Cities to make you immune to fear and corrosion, which reduces item durability. And last and most exciting in my opinion, 2 upgraded versions of the Shield of Honor. The first upgrading the Shield of Greater Honor, which is placed to give resistance 2, and the second upgrade of the Shield of Superior Honor, which is planned to give resistance 3, which will be tied to the new boss representing Enel Black Eagle, but will likely be in a far future plan for Dregora 2.0.0 plus, at least that's what he said. Note these are all tentative and a sneak peek at what is planned. Thanks again to Eagle and the awesome developers working on Dregora 2. I'm looking at you, Heaven. I recommend you check the list of baubles in full detail in their RLCraft community guides available in Shivaxi's Discord, such as the Bauble one made by player KKHR. As a last extra bonus, check this list of Infernal Mob Bauble drops you can get as possible drops from them. You can check this video too to see which structure in Dregora have chests that spawn mimics for mimic bauble drops. Now you know every bauble in RLCraft and which ones are actually worth using. Ahí los guacho vatos!